Welcome, everyone. My name is Sarah Stern, and I'm the founder and president of EMET, and it's my profound pleasure to welcome you here to our 9th annual Rays of Light in the Darkness dinner. Before we begin, I want to introduce my wonderful staff at EMET who worked tirelessly to make this event possible. Adam Turner, Russ Reed, Jennifer Deckel, Jeremy Riedman, and most importantly, Deanne Heffernan, who did the lion's share of the work in putting this beautiful evening together. I also want to thank Julie Strauss, who is now a high-power attorney, but took off today to make sure that the room looked as beautiful as she does, which is quite amazing. I also want to thank our absolutely amazing chairman of our board of directors, Dr. David Green. David has all but abandoned his successful dermatology practice because he works so tirelessly for the state of Israel and for EMET. Ladies and gentlemen, the philosopher Niccolo Machiavelli is known to have said, "You keep your enemies close and your friends at a distance." Our President, Barack Obama, seems to believe that you hold your enemies close, but you throw your friends under the bus. From the abandoned missile defense treaty made to the Czechs and the Poles, to the vanishing red line over the use of chemical weapons in Syria, to the promise that, quote, Iran must never get a nuclear weapon that President Obama made when speaking to AIPAC while running for re-election in 2012, we have witnessed America's credibility, commitments, and promises under this president growing increasingly cheaper and cheaper by the day. There was a time, and I am hopeful that there will be a time once again, when America was regarded as the moral barometer of the universe, and the immortal words of President Ronald Reagan, that shining city of the hill, the global force of good against evil. And Americans, alone in history, have proven to be great human beings who understood the distinction between good and evil, and when evil existed, they had risen to the call of duty. Americans have never hesitated to serve and have been prepared even to make the ultimate sacrifice. Because we know that when America retreats from the world stage, all the moral cockroaches from Putin to Khamenei swoop in to fill the void. Unfortunately, our president does not seem to think like many Americans. He seems to base his foreign policy on how he thinks the world ought to be, not on how the world actually is. On December 18th, in an interview with National Public Radio, President Obama said he envisions a day that Iran can become a very successful regional power. Iran. This is the same Iran who's the world's leading state sponsor of Islamic terrorism. This is the same Iran who every November 4th celebrates an annual Death to America Day, commemorating the 1979 takeover of our American embassy in Tehran. This is the same Iran whose Iranian-made IEDs have killed or wounded thousands of Americans in wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. This is the same Iran that routinely tortures and executes prisoners for such crimes as blogging against the regime, being raped, being of a different religion, or being gay. And in the words of the great Russian human rights dissident Alexander Solzhenitsyn, you can tell a nation's foreign policy by the way they treat their dissident population. George Orwell once said, "In times of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act." then we here at EMET can all consider ourselves revolutionaries. But in the Orwellian universe that President Obama inhabits, Israel, that tiny, valiant nation who has never, ever asked another nation's soldiers to take a bullet for it, is surrounded by an imploding and increasingly Islamicized and radicalized Middle East, who in 67 short years has become the capital of scientific and medical innovation and high tech, and is the first to respond to a hurricane or an earthquake in Nepal or Haiti or anywhere around the globe, who is our eastern outpost of our Western democratic values, where Arabs sit in the Knesset and in the highest court of the land, where IDF ambulances help thousands of serious war victims without one single word of questioning about whom they are fighting for or with. This is the one nation whose prime minister our president singles out for moral opprobrium? And for what? For trying to protect its people from the threat of annihilation by an Iranian nuclear bomb? Ladies and gentlemen, the moral universe has been turned on its heads, and I'm sorry to say that many Americans, including many Jewish Americans, are asleep at the wheel of history. This is 1939 all over again. It was just revealed yesterday by James Clapper in a letter to senators that the Obama administration played down the threat of terrorism posed by Iran in the 2015 World Threat Assessment. And every single negotiating point, from the dismantlement of its nuclear infrastructure to its snap inspections, to its explanation of its prior nuclear weaponization work, to the duration of the time frame before breakout, to the gradual lifting on sanctions which were supposed to have been based upon compliance, we have reneged on. My friends, this is the United States of America. We're not negotiating, we are groveling. I never thought that the America I love so much would come to this. But there are wonderful people in this room, including General Michael Flynn and Ambassador James Woolsey, and my dear friend Cal Thomas. Along with Senator Tom Cotton, Congressman Louie Gohmert, Erick Stakelbeck, Muslim Zionist Kasim Hafeez, Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, and member of the Canadian Parliament Irwin Cotler, who are trying courageously to turn the world right side up again, and they do this in one simple way, by courageously speaking the truth, the EMET, against some very powerful, formidable forces. These people are all rays of light in the darkness.